Welcome to the Groove Loops podcast. This is episode, I always forget, John, 3, 4, something like
six.
that.
Let's go for six.
6. And we have the marvellous Rob Webb from, where are you talking to us from, Rob?
So I'm in Romford, East
lovely.
London. Yeah, the
UK.
leafy areas of Romford.
Is it leafy? So Rob, I mean, I last played with you, Rob. I think I moved to Singapore in 2020. John, you've known Rob for longer than me, but we must have known each other over 10 years, Rob. I've played loads of gigs with you. We're going to get into that because I think that's probably a good place to start, is you do loads and loads of different things. Yeah. Tell everyone sort of what you do.
Okay. I guess primarily I am a musician. I mean, I would say I'm a musician and music producer. But for most of my working life, I've earned my money through live gigs. A whole mixture of different things, really. Primarily, I'm a keyboard player, although I also can play a number of other things, some drums, percussion, a bit of guitar, a few things here and there. So sometimes, the gig may desire me to jump on, percussion or grab whatever's around, but primarily keyboards. I think, I trying to think when I graduated university, which was in Manchester, probably, let's think, 96, maybe 97. And then I studied acoustics, actually. So acoustics and music technology. But really, when I left uni, I wanted just to play. One of the things we did at uni is that we had to record. Part of my course, we had to record a lot of the musicians, and the musicians were on a different course. But I found it really frustrating that I couldn't just go in and play it myself, because I just felt, I could do it better myself. So when I left uni, I was like, no, I just want to play. I want to gig. I want to be on the stage. I want to be getting that feeling of performing, live, which I still love. And so that's what I did. I joined a band, which was probably a fairly sort of professional sort of function band, I would say, called Star. And at that time, they were probably doing 3 or 4 gigs a week, I would say. So for me at that time, it was amazing. It means I didn't need to get another job.
And that's how to cut your teeth, isn't it, Rob?
Yeah. And it was because I probably wasn't the best keyboard player at that time. But I suddenly had to learn 100 songs. And it was one of those type of gigs where any song could be called at any time.
But it's not just that. Like doing gigs with people like you, those kind of gigs, function gigs, it's like you realize that the keyboard player has to do quite a bit of everything. Like sometimes you're playing like an Elton John part. Other times you're doing a pad and the sound's got to be right. Then you're doing a horn thing, and playing those horn parts is really difficult. But then you've also got to get the sound not sound too naff, right? So just years of doing gigs, you are right up there, one of the best keyboard players that can do all those different things. Can you talk a bit about that? Because I always thought my job is so easy. I'm so happy about that. I don't have to do much.
Yeah, you are right. I think as a keyboard player, you've kind of got the hardest job, really, because like you say, you can't just sort of stand there and play the piano parts. You're kind of expected to play the brass parts if there's no brass section on the gig, or there's not many gigs where you've got a string section, so you're expected to play the string lines as well. So you need a couple of keyboards, really, so that you can kind of split between the two. So I'm a standing keyboard player, really. There's quite a few sitting keyboard players. It's a little bit jazz, I think, but I like that. And you can move a bit more, you can kind of rock out. But I'd have normally at least 2 keyboards, one on the top, which would be my synth. That would do all my sounds, my synth sounds, my strings, my brass, all those kind of things. And then I'd have more of a kind of a piano, so a weighted keyboard on the bottom, and then I could get all the kind of the pianistic stuff going as well. And like you say, I had to learn quickly how to do all those extra bits. And it was expected that I could just do it.
And then, Rob, you get a curveball like me. One night, Dan, I was helping Rob out of the van with his keyboards, and he didn't have a case for your synth. And it was really cold, and the key was really brittle, and I snapped his D key off.
Oh, no.
So, like, added curveballs, Rob. And you didn't really, you said you were really polite, so I didn't really use that key much anyway, son.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lesson in making sure you've got good cases, I think, for your equipment, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure why I didn't have a case at that time. I think maybe we were late. I just had to throw it in the car. I think, didn't your seatbelt get caught around the keys or something? And the
No, I actually did snap it off with my finger.
Purpose.
I remember.
To see if
I didn't mean to.
In rage.
It was right in the middle, I think, as well. It was like a keyboard.
It's funny that those kinds of gigs, you kind of do them a little bit because they pay quite well and they're regular, and it's almost this thing like you're waiting for we've all done like bigger, higher level gigs, but I find it's amazing how much you learn on those gigs, from like your D key breaking and having to get around that to like people throwing curveballs at you, like, even on stage. I remember like we did that gig, didn't we, Rob, in Athens, wasn't it? Remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, that wedding, that high.
Yeah. And so a gig like that for me. So I was depping in your band, and that was great because you're very thorough. I think there was an iPad, wasn't there? And bunch of tunes on that. So that's kind of like the charts are really good in that band. So you can call a tune.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we rehearsed. I don't think we did we? Or maybe sound check.
Probably didn't. It was always
It's
difficult.
usually cold straight in, isn't it?
Yeah, to get everyone, because everyone's so busy and everyone's got other gigs. It was a case of make sure you learn the songs.
I think a lot of people don't realize that those kind of bands. That was a Athens Riviera. Like I don't know how much they spent on that wedding, but it was tens and tens of thousands. Yeah. And obviously the band have to be really, really good. And I don't think they realize that it's like the first time we've ever played together as that incarnation. And that happens like all the time. You just have to know your stuff, don't you? And
that's down to the professionalism of people you have, you know. So if you get good people and they can just turn up, they can play, and it sounds like you've done it, you know, 20, 30 times in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a bit conscious on this podcast, episode 6 or 4 or whatever it is. Like our audience, they're a variety of different people. Some of them, you know, might want to get into the industry, and I think it's good to talk about stuff like that. Like I think you are one of the most versatile musicians I know. Like, so within that kind of gig, I don't remember, but we probably would have played some rock, some pop, definitely some jazz stuff, right? We would have had to play quite a variety of things. And then you yourself, I did a gig with you remember the Surrey County Arts Primary School? You depped for John on drums. I didn't know I had no idea you could do that. And that's like, you know, it's a primary school gig, but there's still 1,000 people more than 1,000 with the kids. And you still got to turn up and there's one run through, but
I forgot that.
A lot can go wrong. Can you talk a bit about versatility and how important that is in the industry?
So I think if you, especially as a musical director, so if you want to lead a band, I think you need to have a good understanding of all the components that are going to make that up. So, you know, for example, if I'm MDing a band one night and I need to be able to communicate properly with the drummer, you know, with the guitarist, with the singers. So I think you need to kind of have experience of that instrument. And I think from an early age, I just wanted to do that. I wanted to experience everything. And, you know, so I asked my mum if she'd send me, you know, for drum kit lessons when I was younger. I had classical guitar lessons when I was younger as well. I always sang. I was always nervous, to be honest, about singing. But I'm glad I was forced to do it because now, you know, I've got the confidence to just sing in front of however many people.
Just quickly, Rob, Dan, this is amazing. Rob does this. Rob, what is the show you do?
So at the theatre show at the moment.
Yeah, the theatre show. Sorry, I forget the name of the singer.
Yeah, so I've got I've put together like it's a Barbara Streisand theatre show.
Barbra Streisand.
Oh, right, great.
Yeah. So
And Rob sent me a video maybe a month back or so. Rob's doing a solo with Barbara. Well, the tribute Barbra
Standard.
Streisand singing out the front. Mate, you nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. It's brilliant.
Can we put that in the show notes if we have show notes? I'd love to see that.
You probably send a little clip of that.
Please
I'll send
do.
you a 1 second clip.
I mean, that is exposed, Rob, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, that show's been going really well, actually. And I think because obviously sort of budget was quite tight on that. So I remember having a meeting with Keely, who's she's the Barbra Streisand tribute singer. And she said, look, we need more songs. And really, Barbara did a lot of duets. I'd love to get some duets in there. But, having to pay extra singers to come in is, it's not always possible depending on ticket sales. And
so did you cut them a deal for $5,000 for the night?
part of me just said, oh, I'll do it. And thinking, yeah, I could do it. But actually, obviously then standing
Doing
up
it.
on a theatre show, and doing it is another thing. So the
Nerves?
songs I sing, no, definitely the first few, but a buzz. I mean,
Yeah.
'cause I'm ultra confident in singing, my voice, what I can do. What makes me nervous is remembering the lyrics. That's the thing. And as a keyboard player, I've if I've needed to kind of like sing while I'm playing, I've always had a few kind of lyrics stuck to my keyboard here and there as reminders. But if you're out there with a microphone, you can't hide it.
Yeah.
You can't stick anything anywhere really. So it's good. Just another thing I've been doing really.
So Rob is I've worked with you for about 20 years now, I think, Rob. I met you just before you were getting married. So how long have you been married?
Married 2004, so 21 years this summer.
Okay, so I've known you 21 years. And Rob's probably one of the people I know most who, like, people call themselves producers if they've got Logic or Pro Tools or whatever. But sometimes that's not the case. Rob knows the pitch. You can hear, you can see the picture of what you want to create musically. And you know all the components that are made up to make that sound. So I've been on sessions with you where you go, John, all I want is this. And I'm going, oh, really? But I don't see the whole picture. You're one of these guys who sees the whole picture, Rob. And I don't know many people like that, if I'm honest.
So I don't know if that's something you can learn. Maybe you can. Maybe with experience you can get that. I don't know if it's something I always had from the start, but maybe it was to an extent. But like it's like you get an idea in your head and you hear it as it's, you hear it already fully made before you've created it.
That's interesting.
And if you get that, then all you've got to think is, okay, so what are the building blocks to kind of put that together?
And sometimes where I might record something or do something or whatever, I'm going, because you see that as maybe one of the parts of the jigsaw that's been put into place. You go, yes, that. And I'm going, oh, okay. Because I can't hear the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you realize at the end, you go, oh, no, that was.
And it might be odd, because I might be saying to you, John, can you just play me, dum, ga, 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 beep, dum, ga, ga, ga. And it might be, that's really weird.
Yeah.
But how you do it, because the producers told you to do it.
Yeah.
But then at the end, when all the other parts are in, you think, that's exactly what I needed to do.
But do you think that, because like for me, I played a few instruments like you did. So I started on piano and then I did classical guitar, trumpet, and then it was only bass guitar that really clicked for me. And then from that point, I was quite obsessive about listening to the bass and figuring that out. Like when and that would have been about sort of 11 years old onwards, were you listening to everything rather than transcribing just the keys parts? Were you listening to all the instruments?
I think I was listening to everything. Yeah, I think I was. I think because I wanted to, I kind of saw the beauty in everything. I wanted to play it. So, I would, and there was always instruments around my house. There was a cello. My sister had a cello. There was saxophones, trumpets. I was a French horn. I was a very good French horn player, actually. That was my main instrument when I was growing up. I think I was grade 8 French horn at 15 or something. And I was doing pro gigs on the French horn when I was 16 in orchestras. Wow. But it was, I kind of had everything around me. So I think I just, we didn't have phones and Nintendos then. So, I just grabbed an instrument, I'd play around with it, or I'd kind of, so I was never distracted by anything else. And maybe that's just helped me to kind of understand, so many, a wide variety of instruments. And then also therefore how they kind of fit together.
Totally. Rob, what are your projects coming up, mate? Like what have you
I've always got
happening now?
Always got a mixture of stuff. I mean, I'm still doing a lot. So in the studio, I'm always working on lots of stuff for live, and primarily that's what I've always done. So for the theatre show, I've been, preparing backing tracks, click tracks, all that Streisand stuff is really musical theatre, loads of orchestral stuff going on. So I'm always sort of prepping tracks, things like that. And then I do bits of other sessions that come in. So I'm tuning vocals for different people. I'm doing bits of keys, different things like that. But I've really kind of wanted to kind of get a bit more on the, break the whole kind of YouTube content thing. And I've been putting together tutorial videos. So that's kind of my new thing I've been doing.
What kind of videos?
So they are really sort of aimed at musicians, music producers, but who want to kind of elevate their musicianship. So as opposed to just, using all the kind of the quick tricks and dragging in loops, samples and effects, it's kind of getting back to the basics of musicality and trying to help sort of people elevate their tracks, but using music. So, looking at chord sequences, looking at the keys, knowing what notes you can use in different keys, and kind of sort of elevating that aspect of it. So, that's what I've been doing. I've kind of started a Facebook group. I've, been putting up some of the videos there. So,
do you have like a YouTube? Yeah. Do you have a YouTube channel yet? Or is it, you're going to get into that, or stick on Facebook? Or
I don't have a YouTube. I think I'm going to stick with the Facebook group for now. The group's called Musical Producers. So it should be fairly easy to find. I'm sure I will kind of eventually venture out into the sort of YouTube channel world as well. But I thought I'm going to stick with one thing and try and kind of build that up. So that's one of the things I'm doing. I'm excited about it. It's a new thing, and I know everyone's sort of trying to step into it in a different way.
Great idea. Yeah, didn't you mention as well that, sorry, Dan, that maybe like DJs and people who are doing basically loops live, aren't they? Really, it's quite a good crossover for your sort of DJ world as well.
I mean, it's cool to be a music producer, isn't it, these days? And the kind of the entry to get into it is a low bar, I think, these days. If you can DJ a bit, you're a producer, or if the software you can get these days makes it so easy to kind of put music together, and then suddenly you upload it to SoundCloud or whatever, and you're a music producer. But I think what a lot of those sort of people obviously will be missing is the musicality. And they can't, you can learn some of it, but it takes years to kind of really master it, so I think like you say, DJs and just singers that don't have sort of much experience in kind of musicianship, I've got those kind of people on there, and it's
great.
I think it's something
we'll definitely keep in contact, because I mean, obviously we have the whole drums and bass loops that fit together thing that we're doing with Groove Loops, and probably our audience is, you know, quite similar to what you were just describing. I think a lot of people do want to know more about, you know, music theory, how it works, arranging, you know, production and all those things. I think we are in a world where everything, you can cheat a bit online. You can polish things up. You can make it look like you're better than you actually are. But at the end of the day, I just think those basic musical skills, well, hopefully we've all been trying to learn it for our whole lives. I think then you have something to offer, to give to other people. And with that, I can already see lots of different, you know, courses or whatever that you could offer doing that. And myself being in the whole YouTube world, it's really, I mean, that's happened since I last saw you, actually. And it's weird how there is that, because we're all roughly the same age, where we did come from pre-internet age, where I think there was far fewer choices of what to do. It was like, here's the instrument we play, let's try and make a living from that. Really tough thing to do. And it still is, but this whole new world has opened up. And I'm always like telling people, if you've got, you know, something to give in terms of either entertainment or education, you know, and you want to do it, not everyone wants to do it or should, but if you want to do it, it's just all out there. So we'll definitely, you know, we'll keep in contact about that. I'm just looking at time. We've got a slightly shorter one today. One thing we always talk about on this podcast is gear. We're a bit, you know, sort of musos, gear nerds and things like that. Gary, unfortunately, our partner in crime, couldn't be here today, but for him, he will want me to ask you about synths. He's a massive synth geek. So I know you talked about your, you know, I know you. I recognise the Nord, the one you've got behind your right shoulder.
So if we're talking hardware synths, then I've got the Nord stage. Now that's one of the early ones, actually. I think they've gone up to like Nord stage 4 now. But Nord have got a few different synths, and but that's kind of my it's not fully weighted. It's kind of, I think that what they call it, waterfall or something. It's lush to play.
I see a lot of Nords on gigs. We used to see a lot of Nords on gigs. I
think and they're all red. Like if someone turns up with a red keyboard, you immediately think, okay, these guys know what they're doing. And that keyboard's great. It's got a whole synth section, so you can kind of, you know, obviously manipulate, create almost any sound you want. But it's got a really good organ section as well, so you can kind of you know, with all the drawbars, so you can kind of get really good organ sounds. And then it's got a really good sort of piano section as well, so you can get piano roads and EPs, and then obviously mix them all together as well, so you can kind of pretty much get any sort of standard sound you want from that. And I take that to most gigs. I do, and in the in the studio as well. It's kind of my go-to keyboard.
Desert Island keyboard.
But you can probably see there's a Roland synth there. That's not sure when that came out. It's an FA6. It's that's kind of a good one to have, like if you're live, to have on the top, and quickly just kind of get to kind of different patches, your strings, some moogs, whatever you want. It's really nice.
Can I ask a question? Have you ever been on a gig and pressed in the modulation key and then forgotten for the next song to unpress it?
No, but I have done something worse than that. And this was quite early on in my sort of pro career, probably in my early 20s. Whereas a singer turned up with a piece of music and said, "This is what I want to do." It was like a Celine Dion song or something, and it was in a nasty key. Okay, it was like C sharp major or 7 sharps or something, and I knew the song anyway. I thought, well, I'm just going to play it in D, okay, and transpose my keyboard down. Okay, so all fine. We did a rehearsal. Come to the gig, I did that. It was all fine. Then I forgot to transpose my keyboard back.
No, that's what I was saying. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. The transpose. I didn't mean transpose.
Right. Yeah. Well, exactly that. I have. So,
man.
and the problem with it is that the next song, I had the introduction. Okay, so I'm playing the introduction.
Yeah. There's no way out.
In the wrong key.
Yeah.
No one sounds great.
Yeah.
And then the whole band kick in.
Yeah.
Semitone out. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, exactly right. And yes, I have. And then it's amazing. From then on, I said I'm never ever going to transpose my keyboard again.
And have you not?
Learn to no, I haven't. Learn to play in every key.
Oh man, that is such an amazing tip. I've seen that happen at least 2 or 3 other times. The transpose button going wrong thing.
Also, sorry, I was going to say, isn't that more of a mind mess? Because like if you play a C and you know what C sounds like, and then
you've got perfect pitch.
Yeah. I think, absolutely it is. And I would say I don't know if I've got perfect pitch. I've got very good relative pitch. So that would definitely play on my mind as well. I could probably get away with it, you know, if it was a semitone and you've got used to it.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of trick your brain to thinking, okay, this is this note now. If you're so used to hearing a D, as you play the D, and then you're hearing a different note,
would that mess with your head, Dan? Or like if you could ever do that on bass?
I'm not really sure. I mean, the thing with bass is that you're lucky because it's patterns. But you could easily just think that you're playing an E and accidentally be playing the wrong note. And I've done that before where you catch it, your ears catch. I've heard a story of I won't name the artist or the person, but it was a bass player they're playing Hyde Park. I won't name the artist because it might narrow it down. But there was some kind of an issue with the in-ears where he couldn't hear himself well enough. And so what happened was, he's a bass player. He played the entire track semitone out, not knowing that that's what was happening in front of thousands of people. And then obviously there's sort of a big inquest after it, and he blamed the keyboard player actually. So I think he said he did the old transpose button. But yeah, I've seen it on a gig actually at one of these party bands. None of you guys were on it, and someone was playing a semitone out for quite a long time, and it's just like, I don't know how you can be a professional musician and not could have been an ear thing, like it could have been a maybe a slight deafness thing or definitely a monitor thing, but we were all just like, God, and he was just looking the other way. I think it was Sex on Fire. Which is
I think there's a whole lesson there, to be honest, about people making sure that their listening skills are as good as they can be,
and communication.
On those gigs.
There's loads of lessons there, making sure you can hear everyone properly. You can you can communicate. If something like that goes wrong on the gig, can we resolve it quickly? My theatre gig, I've got a mic, so I can literally it's not my singing mic, it's my talkback mic. I talk to all of the band because they're all on in-ears. If the singer goes out with a track, sorry, it's my phone. Turn it off. If the singer goes out with the track, I can quickly tell the guys, she's out. Can we skip a bar or two? Or communication is key, and listening. Just learning to hear what's going on. Couldn't emphasize.
Talk about that. Mics can be hilarious as well, can't they? If you're having a bit of a joke. I remember we once did this award ceremony, Dan, with Rob. And I can't remember, I was crying with laughter because you were cracking jokes all the time or making weird sounds.
Yeah, you can get, I guess you can, it can be boring sometimes. Like an award ceremony, and you've got to sit there for ages and wait for the next person to kind of come up, and we're kind of, as musicians,
I think it's okay for a professional in that sort of situation to muck around a bit and to have a laugh, like as long as you're playing the right notes and it's kind of entertainment. I think it looks like you're having fun, right? Because some of these gigs you do them year on year, and you can. And I never once thought of any of those types of gigs as like, I don't want to do this gig. I've met amazing musicians, like quite famous session musicians on these gigs.
Yeah.
And I've never thought, this is, but I've seen people that rein it in a bit, phone it in a bit on those types of gigs. And I think sometimes you do need to have a bit of a laugh on it, just to...
Well, I think what it was, Dan, Rob was just calling the stings as it was going, and we were doing like the theme from Bullseye, but when they lost, like a sad one, the minor one.
That's a very niche British darts program for your American friends.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
you need so many stings. I think there were so many awards, we run out of things to play. So I was just thinking, okay, well, what else can we do that we can probably all busk? And then it just got more ridiculous, you know.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
That is the other skill, actually. Anyone listening wanting to get into these kind of things, busking, because it's amazing how many times on a gig where you do just have to do, like, someone might request something.
Yeah,
I've had it before where I just don't know the song, but you just sort of look at you can hear the chord progression a bit. You look at the piano player's left hand, and you just have to do something. You can't just not. That takes a bit of experience, and like you said, Rob, listening. I think that's why I absolutely love those gigs. It's great for that.
Well, it's baptisms of fire, isn't it? Like that make you either hopefully float.
I mean, all three of us have. I think we've done all kinds of gigs, from TV gigs, stars to probably our intersection is these types of function society type gigs. That's why we're talking about them. But like John, we've done so many. Remember that guy with the drumstick? We probably can't even tell the story. But it's just like, can we tell this story? I don't know. It's just like just a guy coming up, a friend of the band leader, and he's just like playing John's drums, but also a bit inebriated and sort of doing things with a drumstick he shouldn't have done. Let's put it that way. But you just like, there's no, what were we saying at the time, John? I
just don't know how to respond.
Like, you can't go to college. You can't go to college for that. You can't learn this in some kind of course. I think of those gigs, they teach you about humanity and everything, and drunk people, and as well as musical skills. I quite like them. I think we're gonna have to wrap up a bit, but if you wouldn't mind, Rob, just before we wrap up, we were talking about gear. I mean, I think most people listening have their own home studios. Is there, like, you talked about the hardware synth side of things? What's your sort of brief sort of set? Is this your studio that you're in now?
So this is my studio, which I built actually in lockdown 2020 with my dad. So it's at the end of my garden.
Oh, cool.
It's cool. I've got so the bit you can see is kind of, the control area bit, really. So I'm using I mean, it's a simple kind of home setup, really. I've got some Adam A7 reference monitors. Generally I've got a Mac, so an iMac. I'm using Logic most of the time because I do loads of sort of MIDI programming most of the time, so using a lot of software synths. Any
plugins or software synths that you could recommend?
You know what, I love Omnisphere. It's my so Spectrasonics Omnisphere. I mean, it's probably, I don't know if they've got any new stuff out now, but if I'm needing a new idea, if I want to start a new track or I want some inspiration, I just go to Omnisphere first of all, just pick a random sound, maybe put down, a little chord progression, and suddenly ideas spring to life. So I love Omnisphere. But yeah, I mean, a whole mixture of different things, to be honest, that I'm using on there. But I've kind of saved different loops and samples from years gone back. I might suddenly look back at previous stuff and grab a bit of that and chop a bit up. I generally also like recording stuff live if I can. So I've got bits of percussion. I don't know if you can see. There's a there, guitar at the back. I've got behind that curtain. I've got a drum kit set up so I can record live drums. It's fairly dead in here. I've got some kind of, I've treated it a little bit sort of acoustically. So I can record vocals in here and get a fairly good sound as well. So that's it, really. That's me.
Great, mate.
Yeah.
Lovely yellow chair as well, Robs.
And the yellow
Very
chair.
Nice. Splash of colour.
Classic. Yeah.
You need that.
Brilliant. No, that's great.
favourite colour.
Yeah. Well, thanks, mate. I mean, I think what we'll do, if you're up for it, and especially as your Facebook group grows, I think it would be really good to maybe get you back on and just do something a bit more specific, like a, you know, like a recording or producing and arranging. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and how you mentioned just now of getting some ideas. You know, what chords would you use? A couple of voicings, and then we can point people to sort of your thing, because I think
that would be great, like a kind of a live, almost like a live sort of tutorial or something like that. I could show if show a few how I produce kind of like live. That'd be quite cool.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we'll work on the technology side of things, which we're not always brilliant at, but it'd be good to like get a live thing going, a live room, and some people asking some questions, and you could just so yeah, we'll definitely have you on again. But thanks so much for carving out the time to speak to us. I haven't spoken to you in over 5 years, so we're going to have a separate catch up another time. It's really great to see you, and great to hear about what you're up to.
Thanks for having me, chap. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, we'll come off this now and chat somewhere else. But thanks very much, and thanks
I've got to go
everyone
and grab a
for
flight.
watching.
So
yeah, you do.
I need to shoot.
I'm doing a quiz. I've got to go and join a quiz team, school quiz. So yeah.
Okay.
Wish me luck.
Nice.
But thanks, guys. We'll sign off and speak in a bit. Cheers.
Thank you, Rob.
Cheers.
Thanks, Rob.
Cheers, guys.
Later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.